Starting strong. And we are live. Hello, everybody. I am Sheyne.
Oh, I thought we were going to introduce Ashley first.
Well, they know us, so we're going to give her an introduction.
Victor.
And our special guest host today is
Ashley.
Hello,
Hi, how
Ashley.
are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Tell us a little about yourself.
So I am pretty new to the Mets in general, even though I am a true New Yorker. But
wow.
I've been playing softball since middle school, so I feel like I have a pretty good stake in understanding the game.
Cool. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. And how did you start getting into the Mets?
Actually, it was a friend of mine from softball who had just an extra ticket that one day, and I just kept going ever since. And then obviously you reached out to me as well,
Yes.
so free tickets.
So, question for you. Had your friend had Yankee tickets first, what would have happened
Not
to you?
as appetizing.
Why?
The commute.
The commute is farther to Citi Field.
I don't feel that way. I'm actually closer to the 7 train, so it's like a better distance. Plus, I've also been to Mets games prior to that.
Okay.
One with my friend. She also had an extra free ticket, so you know.
Well, you made the right choice. It's a life of misery, but you made the right choice.
You know what? It's a nice little roller coaster, and then especially when you get to those games that are like pinchers, like you wanna stay there the whole time. You wanna ride it out, and you wanna see everybody get to the finish line.
What's the best game you've ever been to?
I just have to say it's the one where Conforto ended up hitting those 2 home runs. I think it was, the second to last game? Somewhere around there?
Something like that. Victor, what's the best game you've ever been to?
Good question. Best game? Oh, Game 5 of the World Series. Yeah.
Wait, Game 5? Oh.
I mean,
We
lost it, but in terms of just being there in the stadium and rooting for the Mets, that was probably the best game.
Nice. Very nice.
Good. It was that was a good playoff atmosphere.
We're so hungry for it, desperate for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We might get there next year because what did we have this year?
This year we had not only the Rookie of the Year, but also a back-to-back Cy Young Award winner. So let's go into Pete Alonso first.
Pete Alonso, yeah, baby. So here it is up on the screen. So, that wasn't really a surprise. That wasn't even close.
Not even
and not the fact that, people were expecting it to be unanimous, but with the Mets' luck, it wasn't. He was just 1 vote shy of being unanimous. However, I doubt this will affect his legacy. Going down the line, if he continues the success, congrats to Pete Alonso, and hopefully he continues this trend.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think it affects anything negative with him at all, because, it's not really what it came down to as far as the person who didn't give him that unanimous vote. Here's that gentleman. His name is Andrew Baggarly. Douchebaggerly. Andrew Douchebaggerly. He's from The Athletic in San Francisco. He's a San Francisco writer. I saw a lot of Met fans online. Excuse me. Thought for sure it was somebody from Atlanta because he gave the first place vote to Mike Soroka.
Yeah, he was a rookie pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, and I believe he had a record that was 14-3, right?
Something like that.
14-3. He had a decent ERA around 2.30, which, and then I think he also had about 142 strikeouts. Look, his performance is great. I would take if we had any pitcher that put those stats up. However, compared to the performance and the impact that Pete Alonso had, I think Rookie of the Year isn't necessarily based on, padding stats. It would be more the impact that he had on the team. And if it goes based off that merit, then Pete Alonso is the clear winner of that because, he led the MLB in home runs. He broke the single season, not only the Mets record, but the MLB record.
For rookies.
Yeah. And he, at 24 years old, he essentially became the leader of that ball club. Mm-hmm. So
in a year we thought we'd be somewhat of a vacuum after David Wright.
Absolutely, and at the same time, it was a little bit confused to see if Dom Smith would have had that lead. Well, if Dom Smith would have been the first baseman for us instead of Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
So I think with everything that happened, taking everything in calculation, Mike's, you can't, knock him to be like, oh, he didn't deserve it, but I don't think he was...
But he didn't.
He didn't deserve it, but it wasn't, like, I don't think it was necessary to give him a vote. Like,
agreed.
He would have been fine with the second place.
Here's my big thing is that, and tell us what you think, Ashley. This guy, Andrew Douchebaggerly, said that the reason he didn't vote for Pete for first place, he gave him a second place vote for the Rookie of the Year, was that in a year where balls are juiced and they're flying out of the park like never before, 53 home runs from a rookie in a big ballpark, facing off against top-notch talent, and they didn't figure him out the whole year, wasn't as impressive as a guy who kept people off the bases as a pitcher. And I'm like, if that's the case, why isn't Mike Soroka in the Cy Young conversation if he's so damn impressive?
I think maybe he just has a bias when it comes to Mike Soroka.
Even though he's a San Francisco writer?
Yes. Doesn't matter where you are. It's all about the team that you represent.
Could be a bias against the Mets.
True.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna chime in and say it is a little bit biased. He's probably a Giants fan. He's a little bit bitter that we stole Zach Wheeler or something a couple years back in the Beltran trade, and going back for that. But I mean, could we not spend time talking about this guy and talk about Alonso instead?
And it just dawned on me.
Yeah, because that's what
he voted for in the Cy Young.
No, he probably voted for DeGrom, if anything.
Yeah, Andrew Bagley, you think so?
Maybe. Did his vote go for that, or they don't show?
I don't know. I didn't check that out. But I was
going back. Let's go back to Pete Alonso.
Oh, Pete, you want to go too? Yeah.
I want to break down his stats.
Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in 161 games, he scored. Let's see, 53 home runs, 120 RBIs. He had one stolen base. He was able to score 103 runs and with a batting average of 260. So, on top of that, he was an all-star. He finished 7th in MVP voting, and he was Rookie of the Year. So, I think it's a wonderful start to see.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And just what he represents now, he wants to be here. He loves being here. He's done everything right. I mean, and no pun intended, he's done everything like David Wright in a way, and he knows who he's trying to follow in the footsteps of, and he's our MVP to be sure. Even with DeGrom, I feel like Alonso's that MVP because it's more than just the wins in that way. Mm-hmm. He carried this team. He's a figurehead. He's the leader when it comes down to it.
Yeah, and especially in a season that was a roller coaster ride.
Absolutely.
So, question: how do you think he stacks up to other Rookie of the Years in the Mets history? Are you aware of any of the Rookie Years in Mets history?
I am definitely not. You're going to have to educate me here.
All right, well, I mean, one of them, obviously, is Pete. Jacob deGrom won 5 years ago. Dwight Gooden won 35 years ago. Darryl Strawberry the year before that. Then John Matlock, which barely... I don't even know who that is. And then, of course, the great Tom Seaver, the franchise.
Are we talking about their rookie performances or legacy overall?
Rookie performances, because we can't judge that yet. Rookie performances and the expectation, the hope that came with that great start for all these other guys. What do you think?
I mean, maybe because I don't know, I would say I'm a 2000s Met fan. I would have to go with Pete Alonso. Like his Rookie of the Year was probably better than DeGrom's Rookie of the Year. And that's kind of what I'm comparing it to. I never really had a chance to catch Darryl's or Gooden's.
You weren't alive yet.
I wasn't even alive.
You're forgiven for
that. So going into that, it's
people sitting over here in the corner.
It's like you can't be like, oh well, Strawberry's rookie season was so much better, and then so on and so forth.
Well, I mean, DeGrom came in June and still won the Rookie of the Year.
Well, I actually went to his
debut. That was at Yankee Stadium, right?
No, it was at Citi Field. It was against the Yankees. Okay. They lost that game. It was 2-1. It was because DeGrom, and I think his name was Chase Whitley, pitching for the Yankees. They both made their rookie debuts.
Yeah, well,
and it was and that was the same year Jeter was making his farewell tour.
Yes.
And I think that was Game 2 of that Subway Series, or whatever the case was. Yeah.
Pretty damn impressive.
But going into it, no, I mean. Maybe just because it's so fresh, I would take Pete Alonso's.
Well, I mean, this is the first big guy as far as position players goes that both of you are really getting a chance to see from day one.
Yeah.
There's something magical about that. To follow someone from before they were in the majors. I envy you guys in a way because, like, I remember, first person people I ever won. For me, it was Greg Jeffries, which that's neither here nor there. We thought he was going to be our big guy at third base, but or second base, but that didn't happen. But that's a special thing, so I get why you would feel that.
Yeah, and it's also, you haven't seen many Mets players that hit home runs. That was another thing. I mean, who you have Carlos Beltran, who
we did,
but not to this magnitude.
David Wright,
or we won it.
Well, we never had anyone to this magnitude. Yeah,
David Wright was so long ago.
It was, yeah.
Well, David Wright capped out at like maybe 30.
Yeah, 32, I think.
Yeah, but it's not okay. When was the last time you heard a Met that hit over 42? 40. Yeah, 40 to the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's why I think this had such a bigger level. I mean, there are great pitchers within that have come through our organization. Now you can say that, I mean, going into the next topic with Jacob deGrom, you'll see that if we compare, Cy Young Award candidates, deGrom is up there with Seaver.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. But yeah. Okay. So
I'll take Pete Alonso.
Fair. And you'll take Pete Alonso over deGrom
of
over the year.
I'll go with Alonso for now.
For now. Okay.
I would like to see what they do next year.
Fair. I mean, it does remind me a little bit of, even though I was very, very young, growing up in the 80s and that team owning the city in the 80s. Darryl Strawberry is the closest one because he was that corner player. He was right field, but that power, that sheer, that tall beanstalk kind of stature that he had. But he had Pete's Strawberry's hopes mixed with Wright's mentality, which that's pretty fucking special. So yeah. I would have to go as far as rookie seasons go. No one had a rookie season like Dwight Gooden in history, and so I have to go with him as far as the best rookie season in Mets history. But that's he was a special guy for the time that he was special.
Unfortunately, we can't comment. We didn't live them. We didn't exist.
You know Dwight Gooden, though. I'm sure you know the doctor. But you know the Dwight. I'm in jail. Dwight Gooden, probably. Do you have any idea who he is?
Not even close. Not even close.
We have the iPad. You should look it up.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
So going into our second topic is the NL Cy Young Award winner.
I mean,
it was a clear cut. I mean, it was between him and Ryu.
It was between him and Ryu. I was, because of the prejudices that some writers have against our team, I was a little worried.
Okay.
But, because you and I both were kind of like, it's going to be tight.
I thought it was going to, well, he was still
tighter than it was.
Vote. That is what she said. But,
take that back.
Going into this, Jacob deGrom, first place. He had every first place vote except for one.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first pitcher to win in New York to win back-to-back Cy Youngs.
And the 11th one in history.
Yeah.
And here's how it shaped up. I mean, he got 29 first place votes. Ryu got 1. Scherzer got 8. Second place. Strasburg 10 second place. And Flattery 5. I mean, it wasn't close at all.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be a little closer than that. I really did. Were you following that at all?
I wasn't, but just seeing the numbers, it kind of seemed like no one was even close to touching him.
Yeah, it was completely lopsided. Completely. But
well, when you're good, you're good.
When you're great, you're great. I mean, I took a lot of pleasure out of Max Scherzer. Excuse me, I was sick all week. I apologize. I take some pleasure out of Max Scherzer not winning it because I can't fucking stand him at all. At all. I look at him, he looks like a puppy with those 2 colored eyes.
Yeah, well, looking into the NL history of Cy Young Award winners is that Jacob deGrom, of back-to-back winners. So the history starts back in 1965 with Sandy Koufax winning in 65 and 66. Mm-hmm. Then Greg Maddux in 92. He won straight through 95? Cy Young?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And then Randy Johnson, 99 to 02. Tim Lincecum from 08 and then 09.
I forgot about those seasons.
He was
the freak.
Yeah.
I
remember watching him. I remember him, and then, I think Barry Zito, he was an Athletic, but I remember at one point Barry Zito did play for the Giants.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
But that was a good Giants team back then. Yeah.
Those 3 years and those 5, because the Giants won 2010 to 2014. So in 5 years,
they won 3
championships. That's something else. Yeah.
So DeGrom is in the standings with Clayton Kershaw when he won in 13-14, and then Max Scherzer in 16-17. So he's in a good group. He's in a good group, and I hope he can continue bringing success to this ball club.
Well, what do you guys think? What are your hopes, matches versus your expectations for him next year?
I hope he gets more wins. He deserves it. You know, he's won the Cy Young Award with the fewest amount of wins.
Yeah.
In both seasons. What is it?
Last year was 10.
Last year with 10 and 11 wins, which is absolutely remarkable.
That's how damn good he is. But what do you think?
I don't think
his personal performance will be like.
He's not going to miss a step next year.
Yeah, I completely agree. He'll probably be up there with Pete Alonso, kind of running the show and making sure that we're getting where we need to go.
Okay, I think so too. I think he's going to go thrice.
Yeah,
I really do. I feel like this is
something
time.
Unique,
There's something different about him that you didn't. I saw a thing online yesterday or today that had a picture of him and Matt Harvey from like 2015. It was like, if we had said to you 4 years ago that one would be a double Cy Young winner and one would be washed up already, which one would you have chosen?
At that point, you wouldn't have known because that was 2015. That's when it was like that Dark Knight era, and everyone was going crazy. I think that's when was that when?
That's when he returned.
He returned.
He was lights out. He was amazing.
Yeah.
I love Matt. Happy Matt Harvey Day.
Happy Harvey Day.
Happy Harvey Day. Do you remember any of that at all? Oh,
no, I love the Happy Harvey Day. Well, that's and I think 2015 was when we had the top 4 or like we had back then.
We were considered to have the best rotation in baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we had
DeGrom,
Harvey,
Thor,
DeGrom, Syndergaard,
Matz, and then Wheeler.
No, Wheeler was out in 2015. Remember, they were going to trade him along with Flores.
Oh,
we had Bartolo Colon, Big Sexy. You know him.
No.
Oh my goodness gracious!
There was this thing called The Rock, and I used to live under it. So
that's okay. It was hard to get that off your back.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it still chipping your shoulder from it?
No, but I'm here now.
You're here now. You have arrived. But yeah, that was a great time. But yeah, DeGrom has become just something out of this world for us. It's quite impressive. I love him.
And then the news is gonna go downhill from here.
The Muse. Well, no, we gotta get some good stuff coming. All right.
No, but I mean, this was a good way to start off. This is like this is the award that the Mets deserve, because other than that, I mean, it is.
Well, now
topics coming up.
We get into the second act where things seem a little bleak, and then here's the thing: we have a whole range of scandalous topics to talk about with the Astros that shouldn't affect us, but because we're the fucking Mets, it very likely will. Anyway, so the first part of the Muse, which is what I think, Mets Muse news, genius, is Juan Legares. So they declined his option. The Mets have declined his option for 2020.
He's officially a free agent.
He's officially a free agent. He says, quote, "I thank God for the opportunity to be here from 2006 to now. It's sad. I understand this is a business. I have to accept everything that happened and enjoy the time." How did you feel about Juan Legares in your limited time here?
Not very much at all. I think my attention was elsewhere.
Why is that?
I think for the most part, everybody else kind of seemed like they had a lot more going on.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot less focus on him. And that's probably why they allowed him to go to be a free agent in the first place.
Are you aware that he's a Gold Glove winner?
No.
Would that surprise you, seeing how he played the last few years?
Yes.
There you go.
Well, Legares, I mean, he started off his season with the Mets in 2013, and then he was that guy next up because around that time we lost Beltran, and we needed a solid outfielder, and the glove that Juan Legares had, people felt very confident. However, he didn't really show it with the bat. But
I would argue he never, after he won
the Gold Glove
and got his contract extension, he phoned it in.
Yeah.
He Tejada that shit. I have a saying that, do you know who Ruben Tejada is? Okay, Ruben Tejada, real quick. Jose Reyes, when they didn't re-sign him, when they didn't give him a contract, Ruben Tejada was the next man up. He was the one who they thought was going to be the future shortstop for the next 10, 15 years. And he was the heir apparent, and he never had to do much to earn that. And as a result, he just phoned it in to the point where they didn't want him anymore. And so I call it tahading that shit when you don't try to earn your spot in life.
Hashtag tahading.
Yeah.
Shit.
Love that.
But I mean, even breaking down Lagar's stats from 2013 to 2014, it hit more than 5 home runs.
But the bat was never. You're right. The bat was never there.
But the thing was, he was defensive. But you can't say that. Oh, he was the next. I wouldn't say that he was the next heir to Carlos Beltran from there. But in terms of defense,
yeah, never offensively. No.
But which is why I think the Mets were able to experiment and kind of bring in other players, because in 2015 that's when we got Cespedes. So say Lagar's had a huge impact with the bat, then we probably would have been having a different story right now. Say him leaving, but it's not. But for me, it's not. I can't even say that it's bittersweet. I mean, he played out his years with the Mets, and that's it. Like, I don't think if they brought him back, I don't know what impact he would have. Yeah. Or what positive impact he would have had for us.
Exactly. I mean, in 2015, in a playoff run, despite how good his glove was just the year prior, when I believe he won in 2014, right? Golden Glove?
2014.
Yeah, yes. And just the next year, we're in the World Series, and he's not playing. He's only coming in 8th inning, 9th inning as defensive replacement in the playoffs when we're ahead. You get Cespedes. At this point, you're trying Conforto, and he's playing left.
Because they had offensive bats.
You had Granderson. The fact that you had a Gold Glove caliber guy, and his bat wasn't even good enough to be number 8 in the lineup, and just the year prior, he won a Golden Glove. That just says all you need. I had a friend who was like, I'm really sad about this. And I'm like, but why?
No, not at all.
What have you done for me lately? You know, it's like, I mean, I'm filled with loving players who, Hernandez didn't finish his time here great. He was old. He was banged up. But at least he tried. And at least he gave it his all. I just never got the sense that he tried his best. I don't know. What do you think, Victor? Do you think he tried his best?
No, I don't think so. I think there was like a point last season, or I guess you could say the 2019 season, where he briefly showed a flare of what he could be, but it didn't attribute to anything. I mean, he was always going to be overshadowed, like you said. If you look back in 2015, by the Granderson, Conforto, Cespedes. This year, granted, let's say Nimmo didn't get injured, Lagar's probably wouldn't have played. Lagar's was in 133 games, but I'm sure if Nimmo was healthy, maybe Lagar's would have been scraping 100 games.
Agreed.
Almost. So, thank you.
I think he has a lot of appearances when we're ahead at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I don't think
he's a little bit of a mop-up guy, yeah. I mean, if a team needs depth, that's kind of what he's there for. But other than that, he's not a starter.
All right, no thinking. First team that comes to mind, simultaneously, where does he end up?
Milwaukee.
Ooh.
Go Sheyne.
No thinking. Giants.
I think he's going to go to Giants. He's going to follow
Angel Pagan. Yes, I have a feeling he's going to follow Angel Pagan.
I don't know why I said Milwaukee, but it just popped into my head.
What do you think?
I would say Giants.
And it's going to be Milwaukee. Anyway, so
Milwaukee, and I pulled Milwaukee out of my ass, too.
All right, keep an eye on that, folks.
Well, it's a fine ass there, Victor.
Thanks.
See, Victor commented on my gut before the show.
Yeah.
He got terrified. I was standing up, and he was terrified that my gut was his gut.
They thought it had switched.
And he almost killed himself. He almost jumped on my first story window.
We almost just only had the two of us.
Well, you know what? And the cat, the mascot cat, wherever this is. Okay, we don't want her here, trust me. All right, so the next up is Eduardo, I spelled it wrong. Eduardo Alfonso. Edgardo, Fonzie, who I call him. He's voted the best second baseman in Mets history, by the way, by the fans.
Okay.
He's from the Mike Piazza years.
Voted by the fans.
Yes.
But is he actually?
I would say yes.
Well, you're a fan, Sheyne.
What do you think?
What was that? Oh yeah, I would say. I mean, maybe if Murphy was better defensively.
Yeah.
I would say.
Well, I mean, all around. Yeah. And who knows? McNeil could be that, but he's not going to get a chance to play second.
McNeil, he's the ultimate utility man. He'll be playing maybe third, or he'll still be in the outfield.
Well, there's a comment on that later when we get to Brodie Van Wagenen. So anyway, real quick, Eduardo, who was the manager of the Brooklyn Cyclones this last season, for the last 3 seasons, who brought home their first championship this year, has been let go by Brodie Van Fuckface. And basically, Brodie once had all those guys there. He's firing a whole shitload of coaches and managers and whatnot. This made the most news because Fonzie was not happy about that. And while I'm not going to go into fully what he wrote on Instagram, he was gracious, but he clearly is not happy. The Mets have offered him an ambassadorial role, which, what does that even really mean?
You're just like, oh, my bad, we fired you.
Yeah, here's a consolation prize.
That's exactly what it is.
Exactly, which he's considering taking.
Yeah, he's considering it, but he still wants to be in the uniform, obviously.
Yeah. And that's some disrespectful shit, though, I feel like. You bring home a championship and you get fired?
Yeah. It's like you're probably just better off like TCing that, and then you'll probably still be here the next season.
Probably. All right, so we'll move on.
Going into TC, Terry Collins.
Now you remember Terry Collins, I hope. Wow, you are a newbie. What do you kids call them? Noobs? Is that what?
Yeah,
is that a thing?
I guess that's the word for it. I feel like there's a better word for it.
Well, yeah, you can be Rookie of the Year for the show.
Okay, sounds good.
So there you go. Anyway, so Victor, you want to take this one?
Well, rumors were when Carlos Beltran first signed on to be the Mets manager, he was considering Terry Collins to be his bench coach, which thank God that did not happen.
I was so mad about that possibility.
Well, that was the first tweet that came out after he signed, and then people were freaking out because they're like, "Oh, Terry Collins is coming back." Look, aside from Terry Collins bringing us to a World Series, that's pretty much all he did.
Which was it him? I know.
No,
yeah. You don't show up. You get the bullshit. You get blamed, but you do show up. You should get the credit too.
Yeah. Well, that's because Cespedes and the Mets had that extraordinary run in the second half of the season. But in terms of Terry Collins, I don't know what he would have offered Carlos Beltran, to be honest.
And especially because whoever ends up being bench coach, most likely that's who he's going to learn.
It should be an experienced guy.
And that's what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Terry Collins. Maybe if he wasn't in a Mets uniform and he was a coach elsewhere, I would be like, okay, this is a possibility. But granted the history that Collins had with the team, I wouldn't think it's a proper fit.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
All right, so he's not coming on, and the rumor is that he's happy not being in uniform, not having to travel.
Yeah, that's good.
He's comfortable. So we almost lost. Chili Davis is our hitting coach. How do you feel that he did this year as a hitting coach? Both of you.
Considering that you've had 5 Mets that hit 20 home runs this year, I'll tip my hat to him. I think that's phenomenal with the impact that J.D. Davis was able to have coming up. He was literally a trade out of left field, to be honest, where we traded, I even forget, some minor league prospect or a pitcher over to Houston.
We didn't get a lot.
And we were able to get J.D. Davis, who could either be a starter or could have a huge impact. I mean, Todd Frazier, who the Mets had kind of on the downside of his career, was able to hit 20 home runs. Michael Conforto set his career high with the Mets, I believe at 33.
Yeah.
Was it 33 home runs?
Did amazing.
And McNeil, phenomenal. And considering that a player had to not only focus on the field playing different positions, but be able to show up at the plate with the impact that he had, and he was able to lead the league in batting average at some points. Hats off to him, and I'm glad the Mets re-signed him and they didn't let him go.
Yeah. What do you feel like? Coming into it this season,
I think the hits were amazing between Conforto and JD. There's something to be said about Frazier, who just continuously throws the bat at third baseman's every single time.
Oh, that's true. It slips right out of his hands the time.
It's insane. When I saw that, I'm just like, can you hang on to it, please? just hold it together for half a second, get it out there. He did have one really good home run that I was actually there for, and was applause to him, seriously, for holding it together.
Yeah, I mean...
Sheyne, I think we were at that game when he hit the grand slam.
We were, I think.
Yeah.
Were you at that game?
I think so.
All three of us were at that game without knowing it.
That was probably after we played... Was that when we were watching your car from a distance?
No, that was around the same time we were watching the car, but it wasn't that game. I think we were sitting in the Budweiser porch or something.
Oh.
That's not the Jason game, is it?
We sat.
No, that was when we were kind of standing up for a while. And by the way, yes. I was walking around that game.
Yeah,
you had seats.
Yeah,
that wasn't the Jason game.
That wasn't the Jason game.
Jason game was that was a wash.
I was in the nosebleeds.
That's the best place to be. That's the best place, other than standing room, of course. All right, so Terry's not there, but Chile. The rumors were that the Phillies were really interested in him, and I think he probably used that as a bargaining chip, his agent.
Absolutely.
Good for them.
I'm do that
because I like everything he did, and so we move on to. You're pretty happy about this, Victor.
Yeah, that we got a pitching coach. That's what we need.
We don't have him yet.
Well, we don't. Well, I mean, he is being interviewed, but I hope he's the main candidate to be the pitching coach.
Yeah, I think he's a good choice.
There.
None, kind of. Except this guy. I mean, have you really heard of anybody?
No. I think he's going to be signed by the Mets, to be honest.
I just hope another team doesn't swoop in. It's Jeremy Hefner, and he's got a pretty good resume for a pitcher. I think he'd be a good leader, a good guy to handle this. Because whoever's going to be the next pitching coach has a lot of work.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He does. I mean, he was he was a pitching coach or he was an advisor with the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah.
Let's see his exact role.
But I mean, so Ashley,
He was the assistant pitching coach. There you go.
Oh, there you go. I mean, he's probably ready to step up. Ashley, what do you think are the biggest concerns a pitching coach is going to have to address going into 2020?
Just getting their players to actually focus on the game at hand, because I feel like a lot of times I'm a pitcher myself, so getting distracted by everything else that's going on and trying to focus on kind of leading the team through the pitches, because you can only pitch so well and then your team's going to back you up for the rest. So you have to start by setting off that trend.
Who do you think is the biggest concern of the starters?
Just based on last year, I want to say Syndergaard.
What do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking Syndergaard as well.
Yeah. I mean, I could put Matz there, but Matz has never been... Matz's ceiling is a lot lower than what Syndergaard's is, I feel like.
Yeah, but I feel like Matz could pitch well.
Well, I think they both could. I just think they're both fucking head cases.
Well, I think Syndergaard...
They are.
You have to give me a reason why.
Well, let Victor finish his thought.
Well, with Syndergaard, he's definitely more of the talk of the town.
Absolutely.
He's kind of the two to pretty much the Grom. And Matz often falls into the shadows, with that being said, but it's just, I don't know, with the whole distraction that happened last season with Syndergaard pitching, and then there were the trade rumors going on, and then he didn't have it, especially in big games where he would kind of just, allow all these home runs in the beginning, was absolutely deflating. And then you would see Steven Matz, who would, he would throw 30, 40 pitches in the first inning and then finally be able to settle down. So if Hefner comes in, what is he going to be able to offer to our starting pitchers aside from the Grom to have them settle in and actually be focused on the game?
Well, that's something that, that kind of concerns me about Beltran. They said when they announced him, first and foremost, he's a player's manager. And we've gone through this a million times on the show. I am of the firm belief that players are children. They are. They're children that are given the world. Many of them work for it. Many of them have a good head on their shoulders. But other ones, they're in their early to mid, some of them late 20s. And they're going to do 25-year-old things in a sense when you have the world wrapped around your finger. When Syndergaard went and gained 70 pounds of muscle, and then he got an arm injury because his arm was too tight. And Terry Collins oh, it's okay. Do what you want. And then you have again with Syndergaard and with Harvey with being out in town all the time. I'll do what you want. And Syndergaard kind of getting carried away with his ego at times too. And I just feel like you need someone to kind of just, you don't have to have an iron fist, but you set them on the right path. You continually, when they get off course, bring them back.
Yes, you bring them back to consistency.
Yeah, and it's all mental, like Victor said. He's a head case because he gets too distracted by things. He's too concerned. I feel like, I don't know the guy, with what he should be as opposed to what he is. And Matz has no confidence. Ron Darling will say it all the time. Matz has no confidence in what he's capable of being.
It's absolutely a mental game when you are a pitcher, because especially when you're up there, once you're in your head, that's it, you're done. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't help a team.
No.
It absolutely doesn't. And even as a coach, you have to find ways to bring your pitchers, back to where they need to be in order to perform.
He's got a lot of whoever it is got a lot of work cut out for him. I mean, but you definitely feel that he's the right man for the job.
Yeah, going into it, I mean, I just pulled up his stats. He was actually a New York Met for a brief time, from 13 and 14. No, from 2012 to 2013.
Oh God, I don't remember him.
Yeah.
Oh,
probably
God. Oh God.
I'm actually.
It's not a good thing or a bad thing.
Let's see.
See what had happened.
Curious how his stats are, but
is there anyone from Mets history you'd want to be the pitching coach?
From Mets history?
Yeah, that you know of.
Bring in R.A. Dickey.
Do you have any idea who that is? The knuckleball, the greatest knuckleballer of all time. He won the Cy Young for us in 2012 on a knuckleball. He won 20 games.
Which was
on a knuckleball.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Then he climbed Kilimanjaro, which Victor and I have a friend who climbed Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, she won't shut up.
She won't shut up about it.
Once you do it, you have to tell the whole world about it.
I feel like it's the climbing equivalent of becoming vegan. You just once it happens, you just can't shut up about it. But
yeah, going into Hefner's stats as a New York Met, he was 4-7. Well, his overall record within 2 years, he was 8-5. ERA of 4.65. He pitched in 50 games, started in 36. Yeah, nothing really that stands out in his stat line with the New York Mets. He virtually had similar seasons in 2012 and 2013. He went 4-7 one year, 4-8 the following year.
Well,
but I mean, not all great pitching coaches have to be great players.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. I mean, look, one of the best manager I wanted, Madden, was never even a pro player. So
exactly,
things change. All right, moving on. Are you good to move on?
Yeah.
All right. So, quick news: Mike Piazza. You know who Mike Piazza is.
All right, let's not have any dead air, guys. Mike Piazza, he was named manager of the national Italian baseball team. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really follow Italian baseball to say that.
Well, have you ever watched the World Baseball Classic?
Briefly, I think.
Have you watched it?
Definitely not.
It's fun. It is so much fun to watch.
Tell me why.
It's the Olympics of baseball.
Okay.
It's the World Cup of baseball.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get to see these people in their element, really.
It's like I didn't know the Netherlands had a team.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Mean, certain teams like the Netherlands, sometimes it's a little, questionable. It's like...
if they're Dutch.
Yeah, it's like they have 0.2% in their blood of a certain nationality and they'll play for that team. But for the most part, especially the more widely known, teams, you have some legit legends on there. And they're in their element, they're speaking their language, and they're able to bring their culture to it, which you can't always do in baseball because it's a gentleman's game, and someone like Jose Reyes who shows passion gets ripped on for it when he played, and people want to be the fun police. Whereas here, whatever your nationality, you bring that culture to it, and it's so much fun. It's like the World Cup meets the Little League World Series, and just I love it. I love it so much. Some people don't like it because they feel like the home run derby, since it's right before the season, is during spring training, it can damage a player for the start of the season. But
understood.
Like it did for David Wright. David Wright's nickname Captain America comes from the World Baseball Classic, I think in 2013 or whatever it was. He carried that team on his back. He was their leader. And it was the year that they won, the only year that America won the World Baseball Classic. But he got injured and didn't start the season with the Mets. So, it's kind of a hit or miss. But I think good for Mike. It'll be fun. It'll be very fun. Moving on. Brodie Van Fuckface.
Dun, dun, dun.
So Brodie at the winter GM meetings has graced social media and the press with many of his beautiful, eloquent sayings for the team and stuff. So would you like to start, Victor, with the first one?
Well, you still got to read that because
you can't see it?
Too far for me.
Can you see it,
I
Ashley?
can see it.
All right, you want to start with the first one?
The whole thing?
Okay, I'll start. Okay. Basically, I'll summarize it. Brodie Van Fuckface has emphasized that Edwin Diaz, the nightmare of nightmares, is our primary closer going into 2020. Quote, if Jacob deGrom goes 8 innings opening day, Edwin Diaz will be out there for the 9th. He also made note that Jerry's Familia, the worst nightmare, will be an important part of the 2020 bullpen.
Okay.
Get
your Pepto-Bismol ready?
Basically, yeah. How do you feel about that?
not interested in taking some Pepto-Bismol. That's all I know.
But I mean, as GM, should you be making those kind of declarations before spring training?
He needs to make those because Brodie brought in Diaz with the whole Cano trade, and he brought in Familia, and he gave him that 3-year, $30 million contract. As a GM, now this is playing devil's advocate to you. Instead of just admitting that you fucked up and messed up, you have to be able to back your decisions and pretty much bring them to full surface. Maybe, it was a crappy year for both players. They had season lows. You hope they could only go higher from here.
I would like to hear that. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear...
Well, the thing is... He's putting his foot in his mouth with this.
Now Brodie was always like that, especially even when he came on. He was like, come and get us. They kind of did. They got us.
I mean, our division rivals are number one rivals are world champs, so they got us.
I think Brodie, given his character, he's saying these things just so he could be like, oh, well, look, these are my guys. They're still under control for maybe 2 years. Like, they'll pick it up again.
Yeah.
Now, going as a Mets fan, hearing that, Diaz is going to go into the 9th inning after DeGrom pitches 8 innings is something you don't want to hear because, granted, all of the blown saves that have happened in the 2019 season, you do not want to see this on opening day. Imagine going to that opening day crowd, everyone's pumped, everyone's hyped, and then
versus the world champs.
And then all of a sudden you're deflated with the loss because Edwin Diaz blew it in the 9th inning.
Yeah. We would have been in the second wildcard spot had Diaz. He's one of the factors as to why we didn't make the postseason.
Hey, he's one of the major factors that we didn't make the postseason. But instead of reminiscing on this past season,
I think that's a problem though, is to go straight into it and be like, he's gonna be our closer no matter what.
I think
I know why he's doing it business-wise.
He's saying that too because Lugo is up in the air. You're not gonna say that Lugo is gonna be your closer. Because Lugo has a chance to be a starting pitcher, given if we're going to sign any free agents, if we're going to get Wheeler back. What I'm saying now is Brodie at the winter meetings, he has to say these things because Diaz isn't a starting pitcher. He's a closer. He was a closer with Seattle. He's coming to the New York Mets. He's going to be a closer. So he's saying these things because that's the position he plays.
I mean, I think you can do that and be like, moving into 2020... we have every faith that Edwin is going to figure out. He had an off year. He's going to figure out this year, and we have every intention of getting him to a place where he is our everyday closer, and we can have the faith in him that we had when we signed him, without saying automatically, here's more of the same, most likely, because it's the first day. There's a finesse. I feel like
there's a way that we say it.
Yeah, there's a finesse that New York GMs need to have that he just doesn't have. That Sandy Alonso didn't have, Omar Minaya kind of had, where you can both stick to your guns, have faith in your signing, and yet have some kind of understanding of what the fan needs to hear from you. And he says this, okay.
Well, now, think about this. Since both Carlos Beltran and Edwin Diaz are from Puerto Rico, do you think that's going to have an impact on his performance in a positive way? I think from the same country, and I think it might just give Edwin Diaz more confidence.
Yeah.
Because he's probably going to be able to communicate more with his manager. I mean, I don't know the relationship that Callaway and Diaz had.
Yeah.
But going into this,
I mean, Callaway didn't have a good relationship with a lot of guys. A lot of guys of all different ethnicities and nationalities came out. It was kind of a bitch move a lot of the players had, where they just anonymously said shit about him in the press. Yeah. So he didn't have a good relationship with anybody. So I think almost anyone's a step up. But absolutely, I think definitely having someone from your country who can relate to you and may or may not have similar experiences to what you had growing up. Who knows? You get someone like Ahmed Rosario and Jerry's Familia who had vastly different, same country, vastly different experiences, may not relate. But maybe a language barrier thing. You had Yoda in there. The old pitching coach, I call him Yoda. I don't know. Phil Reed. I don't know how much he could relate to younger players just because it's a completely different game now. Who knows? He may have been great at it, but I think it can only help. I don't think it could hurt.
Yeah,
I would hope.
I don't know. I mean, if you're looking back into hindsight into the Beltran signing his manager, maybe that was also a factor for Brodie. Just to be able to communicate with these Spanish players and like we have Edwin Diaz here, both from Puerto Rico.
It's possible. I mean, it definitely...
It goes a long way.
It does. And also with Omar, maybe he took a cue from Omar, because that's how kind of Omar Minaya functioned when he was GM, 10, 15 years ago. We had such, they call it the Latin Dream Team. Some people thought he was only trying to make a Latin team. I don't think that's the case, but one Latin player inspired another one to come here, inspired another one to come here, and they had this bond between Beltran and Santana and Pedro and Delgado and Reyes and all these people who came into it. It helped. And then, I don't know, and then in 2015, when you had a lot of people like Wright and Kadire and people who had similar backgrounds on the American side, and DeGrom and Syndergaard and Harvey, you had this kind of brotherhood clique. So hopefully it can help. I really do hope so. How Jeremy Hefner will go into that if he's the pitching coach, who knows? But that's the real work he's got to do with Familia.
Now let's go into the second half of the statement when it goes into Familia. This is what I'm more scared of, because Familia, he wasn't consistent. Like, he had a terrible
he was
season.
Consistent.
He wasn't consistent in winning. Yeah, he was consistent at losing.
Yeah.
Going into his stats, wow, he had a winning record, surprisingly, last year. He was 4-2, but his ERA was blown up to a 5.70. In 66 games, he allowed 7 home runs, 42 walks, which I think that was his major problem.
Yikes.
Talk about how mighty
he allowed 7 home runs and a total of 38 earned runs.
He's never been the same since he gave up that home run in Game 1 of the World Series in 2015.
That inside the park home run.
And then when he blew the game in 2016, the wild card game, he's never been the same.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's under contract. What? How many more years?
2 more years.
Yeah.
You gotta go. Yeah, you signed him for $10 million. You better have some sort of role.
Yeah, he's got to. He's gonna be. I think the start, if they're smart, he's the bull-out game guy.
Yeah,
and slowly give him something to do. Slowly, he's a 6th inning guy. 5th inning when someone has a freak 1st inning. We'll see.
So
next up, Brodie Van Fuckface says that he expects Jeff McNeil. My name is you. I don't get one.
My name is Jeff.
My name is you. Yeah, he started that.
Yeah.
And he expects to spend most of his time at third base. And that Jed Lauer would be the one kind of serving as a utility man between 2nd and 3rd. I like that.
Yeah, I'll take it.
What do you think?
I'll take it too.
You'll take it. All right.
Yeah, I agree.
This next one, actually.
Are we gonna go into Jeff McNeil's, do you want to go into the depth of how he'll perform at third base, or you're absolutely confident?
I'm absolutely confident.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. Granted, he was able to play the outfield and second base, and once in a while have a spot start at third, for sure. And then this absolutely means that Todd Frazier won't be a Met anymore.
Which, I expect that. I don't want him here. He served his time, he served his purpose, but there's definitely...
First team off your head, where's Todd Frazier going?
You're thinking...
Tampa. Shit. I said, in my head I said Boston, but AL East.
Maybe he goes to Miami.
Right,
it's where a lot of older Met players go. Anderson went there.
That's true, and he played with Jeter, so yeah.
Is it ironic that a lot of New Yorkers just so happen to end up in Florida later in their lives?
It is.
Yeah, maybe. Darno's there.
Yeah. Jeter's there. Granderson's there. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think Todd Frazier
you should send Stanton back there, but
I think what's his name? Todd Frazier goes to the Miami Marlins. That's my prediction.
I can see that. What do you think?
I can see it totally.
All right, I'm with you on that. Okay, I'll change my... All right, so, but you love this one because you love him.
Okay, so, I like Conforto more, but J.D. Davis did prove himself. So, Brodie absolutely thinks that J.D. Davis is a starting player for the 2020 season. He did say that they have a very good offensive season in 2019, but struggled immensely defensively at third base and left field. It'll be interesting to see where he plays the most in 2020, and I actually agree.
I'm not going to front at all. Victor can tell you, I've been down on
JD. I was a big fan of JD.
You were the biggest fan.
I was impressed by him last year.
His bat, yes. I looked at him as
Murphy
Part 2,
man.
but Victor has warned me to him, like, listening and opening my mind to the things that Victor said and the points that Victor's made over the last 6 months. It's like, 4 or so months, I'm like, all right, he's warmed me to him, and I've been less of a dick about him. I don't like when he lollygags in the eye. If you legitimately defensively struggle, but you're putting your all into it,
yeah,
cool.
It's very different.
But there have been moments he's just like, I took my own. Oh, shit. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah, but he's had some good catches there too.
He has.
You warned me to him. I was too harsh. I was a dick to him. I think going into it, especially with the fact that Cespedes is probably not going to start the year, maybe not even play at all.
Yeah.
He's earned that position.
But it's still frustrating, I get it. Like when you see these people and you just see the ball
yeah.
and they're just standing there and it just drops and it takes them a second to get there and you're just like, can you move?
Yeah, you're like, go! But, I
want to see JD as a starter. I don't know where he's going to fit. I would say, third base is going to be McNeil's, so is he going to be out there and left again?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because you got Conforto in right, Nimmo in center. Because I don't see, like you said, at best, Cespedes plays what? If you're hopeful, 80 games.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Cespedes at most he's going to play 80 games.
Exactly.
He's not.
And more likely, it's more like 20 when it comes down to it. And
expectations are low for him.
Yeah. I honestly feel like I drew this little stupid like comic on a post-it. You remember I drew that comic of Brodie digging the shovel with a shovel digging the hole that Cespedes fell in on his ranch when he broke both his ankles. Like he just broke his ankle. He fell into a hole. Like, and I think they just want to collect the insurance money and be done with it.
Yeah.
And then our backup after that is Jeff McNeil or something like that. I feel like the starters are JD. Nimmo and Conforto, and he's earned it until he doesn't earn it, and that's a long way from where I started with JD. So thank you, Victor, for enlightening me. Next up, Brodie Van Fuckface says that Robert Gesellman, Seth Lugo, touted Gesellman and Lugo as in-house starting options and the open fifth rotations for the open fifth rotation spot. He also mentioned that the Mets may address the open rotation through a trade or free agency. There's so many question marks there.
Yeah, that is at the moment the right thing to say because Lugo and Gesellman were both starters when they came in with the Mets.
Yeah.
I still want to see Lugo in the bullpen because he was so good.
Yeah.
If we look at his stats briefly last year for 2019, he was 7-4 in an ERA of 2.7, over 80 innings pitched. Mm-hmm. He only allowed 24 runs, had 104 strikeouts. He was our guy in that bullpen.
Yeah. Then
he had 6 saves on top of that.
He was brilliant.
Even in 2018, you look at his stats. Aside from the win and loss column, which no one really looks at anymore, but he played 54 games. He threw 101 pitches. Going into this, in 2018, he allowed only 9 home runs, 28 walks, and he had an ERA of 2.66. So I think he's our long reliever, and he should stay at that position. But if we need to bring him into the starting role, that's what it is.
Would you rather see Gesellman come in the fifth spot and keep Lugo where he is?
Yes, but I feel like Gesellman would be a very shaky starter.
Agreed. What do you think?
Like the Mets have to put on a lot of runs that day.
Yeah. What do you think?
I agree with him. I think, for the most part, if anything, keep him where he's at.
But then Lugo comes in.
Yeah.
If someone fucks up, then Lugo comes in. That's assuming the other 4 had a good day.
It's not broken.
In 2017, when Gesellman was a starter, he went 8-7. He had a 5.19 ERA. So he started in 22 games in 119 innings pitched. He allowed 69 runs, 42 walks, struck out 82. I think he's better as a reliever.
Is the overall consensus is that these two shouldn't be starters?
And Lugo could be a starter. I wouldn't be upset if he's a starter. However, I'd rather see him in a reliever role.
Agreed.
Yeah. Gesellman, I don't think he should be starting. If he is going to be the fifth starter, the Mets have to put up runs.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
And so the final, well, not the final quote, but final of this segment, quote, it's hard to say whether Yoenis Cespedes will play in 2020. Surprise!
Yeah, my max, 80 games.
Nope.
80 games.
He's probably digging the hole for him right now. Yeah. And so another thing he said, Victor, you should take this one. Can you see that or no?
Which one? Asked at the GM meetings about Mets' appetite to go over MLB's $20 billion luxury tax threshold. Brodie Van Wagenen said he'll have to. Wow, I really can't read that. He'll have that conversation with ownership only if player acquisition strategy requires it. Van Wagenen declined further comment on payroll issues.
Of course he'll decline it.
Of course,
I don't want to talk about dollars.
I mean, it's just so Will Pons and Brodie.
No, they're always cheap.
Exactly. It's like. Like you should have this conversation beforehand, because sometimes we all know what it's like. The Cespedes deadline, granted that wasn't the deadline, so things are a little bit more crazy, but like at the winter meetings when you've got guys coming in that meeting with all these different GMs, an opportunity might come up like that, and if fucking Jeff is on a boat somewhere schoonering with his fucking fishing and sitting out there and a life. And then he got to talk to his papa, who's probably out there trying to figure out how to rip more people off of money, and you lose opportunities. Have the conversation now. Well, we both know they're not. We all know they're not going over it regardless. So
well, he's setting himself up to not get what he wants.
Fucking frustrating.
It's all right.
Anyway, here's something else that's frustrating. Victor, take this.
Next one is a proposed trade. Well, no, it's not really. It's by the media.
It's a rumor. Yeah,
it's a rumor. Noah Syndergaard for Mookie Betts. No. I don't want to see this. First of all, it would overcrowd the outfield. And
well, he would just be the starter.
Oh, he would be the starter.
You can't take a guy like that and not be the starter.
Yeah, but then it depletes the starting rotation even more.
Yeah.
If this is thinking that if the Mets don't get any pitchers and they don't even get Wheeler back, or this is even
if they do,
this will still deplete the starting rotation. I mean, I'm not gonna have. No, I would not be happy with this trade.
I mean, I feel like it's the Red Sox have to do something. They probably have to offload his contract somewhere.
Yeah,
and it just feels like this is the epitome of non-thinking fans or non-thinking. Because a lot of fans are behind this shit. And I'm just like, think for a fucking second.
I can see why, though. Because
why?
Last year with Syndergaard, like, you want to see who else can come in and kind of change the game.
But knowing that they're probably going to lose Wheeler, and who else are they going to sign?
They probably don't know all that.
The Mets need to win now, and the way you win now in the MLB is to have starting pitching.
Yeah. And also, who are we replacing then? We're replacing J.D. Davis. Because then Nimmo moves to left, and Mookie plays center, or Conforto goes to left, and Mookie plays right. You're basically telling JD, okay, you're a utility guy. Which, yes, if I could give up JD Davis for Mookie Betts, I'm taking that bet, no pun intended, every fucking time. But Thor, we have seen what Thor can do. Everyone has an off year. What he can do, I mean, the only game of the World Series we won in 2015 was Thor's game.
But does he come back from last year, or does he end up on this downward spiral that doesn't, that he can't recover from?
He deserves a chance, I think.
He's not a Matt Harvey. He's not a Matt Harvey, I think.
Yeah.
He'll do fine. I'm confident in Noah Syndergaard.
But do they have faith in him? You have faith in him.
There's Noah Syndergaard have faith in himself. That's the answer.
That's very true. That's a good. That is a great point. I mean, they have faith enough for Brodie Van Fuckface to say that they're starting the season with him. I don't trust anything he says, but he said we're starting with Thor and we're starting with Diaz. So they put enough faith in him for that. But this, I think, this is gross. But there are other trade options for Mookie Betts. So some people have proposed 3 different options. The obvious swap, as this one is called, where they say swapping Betts for either Brandon Nimmo and Steven Matz.
Yeah.
As opposed to Thor.
I would...
I actually like Nimmo.
I
love Nimmo, but he's the happiest man in baseball.
I would make this trade. I would take this one over the Syndergaard.
And who would fill the slot for Matz?
For Matz, that's when you go into free agency.
Or Lugo.
or Lugo, but then you still need someone.
Well, you need to get Wheeler. You have to
get Wheeler, or you have to get if the Mets could pull off some shit and get Madison Bumgarner. And then trade Mats, I'd be cool with that.
I mean, I would be too.
I'd be very happy.
What do you think?
Tell me who he is first.
Who?
Madison Bumgarner?
Yes.
Oh, he's
You can take this.
He's pretty much the DeGrom of the
Giants.
San Francisco Giants. Yeah.
Okay, then yes.
Only he's won a championship.
Yeah, he's won the championship.
And he's embarrassed the fuck out of us on every occasion.
And
he's young though, right? He's only 29 now, right?
30.
I thought he's been around for a while. I thought his experience he was at least 35. So he's still got some fuel in the tank.
Yeah. So yes, and yes to your question.
So you would do that trade?
Yes.
Okay, even though you like Nemo. All right, so the next option.
You can't,
No, you can't split hairs.
Wow. Sorry, going back into Madison Bumgarner for a quick second.
Yes, sir.
Came up with the San Francisco Giants when he was 19 years old. That's why
Yeah, he's been around for a long time.
That's why I got
extra yes.
But going into this, he is 30 years old now. If the Mets could get a free agent pitcher, then go for it. They could start making moves, but I give it aside from getting Wheeler back, from getting another starting pitcher, I give it about a 20% chance to happen.
Here's one that's controversial too. The one step back, 2 steps forward deal. The other structure I've heard, this is the writer saying it, bat around, is sending McNeil to Boston for Betts, and a starting pitcher such as Nate Eovaldi, who earned $17 million each the next 3 seasons. I assume the above would also mean handing third base to J.D. Davis, while Nimmo and Conforto flank Betts in the outfield.
I wouldn't mind J.D. at third, though.
But at the expense of getting rid of
No, I don't think so.
What about you?
No, you can't trade. He's a cornerstone of the franchise. If you can have Pete Alonso and Jeff McNeil at least play 5 years in a Mets uniform, I'll be very happy.
Yeah.
Don't trade away McNeil now. He kind of scratched the surface these last 2 years when he came up with the Mets.
If he wasn't injured, he could have won the batting title.
Yeah. For me, if I were Brodie, he wouldn't be on the table to trade.
I agree 100%. Yeah. I agree 100%. All right. The third option would be reportedly the Red Sox had interest in Edwin Diaz last offseason, along with but he came to here with Cano. So the idea would be maybe sending Diaz to Boston while they rebuild, but a bigger piece with that is sending Diaz and Dominic Smith to Boston.
I'm a Dom Smith fan, and it sucks to see his bat just kind of sit on the bench.
I would do that trade in a second.
But I would do that trade not only to get Betts, but also to see Dom Smith have a career.
Yeah. I love Dom Smith. He's infectious. His smile, his energy. But
and I think, and even kind of being in this Alonso shadow that he was at first base, he was still able to come up.
Yeah.
And even that last at bat of the year for us, I think was. I think that increased the trade value so much more.
Yeah. It did. Home run. Yeah, I mean his first at bat back from injury, and I mean I love him.
I'm more open to that trade, but if you go down the line from where we started, Noah Syndergaard is a no. The Jeff McNeil is definitely no. So it's between Nimmo and Mats, and then maybe you get somewhere in free agency, but even if you go Diaz, Dom Smith, you still have to get some arm, whether it's in the bullpen or as a starting pitcher.
Yeah. Which trade would you be most readily willing to do?
This one. Dom Smith.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gets rid of Diaz. All right. So the Mets are looking at Dellin Betances from the Skankies. What do you think about that?
Good. Get Dellin Betances. We need a legit arm in the friggin' bullpen.
Yeah, I would love this. It actually doesn't say how much he's making or how much they expect him to bring back, but I think he's definitely someone, especially if Seth Lugo's going to have to step up as a starter at some point or for the entire season. I think that would be. I think that's the best signing we can expect this offseason to be.
For sure.
With the exception of we get Wheeler.
And going into Betances' I guess his stats from 2018, pretty much similar to Seth Lugo's. He was 4-6. He had a ERA of 2.70. He played in 66 games, 66 innings pitched. Allowed 20 runs, 7 homers, 26 walks. So I'll take, if you could sign Seth Lugo, I'll take that. I'll be very happy with the signing.
But the biggest signing we are worried about is Zach Wheeler. The Yankees have checked in, according to this, among, I'm sure, many teams, because he is actually voted.
Well, he's considered the fourth free agent.
Yeah, he's the fourth best free agent on the market. And, here's a little timeline. We don't have to go through reading everything, but basically, Cashman from the Yankees have checked in. The Twins have checked in. The Astros have checked in, which maybe not right now, but especially if they're going to lose Garrett Cole, which they're saying he's probably going to go to the Yankees, which is just funny. But the Mets are trying, supposedly, to work something out.
Try. I knew Wheeler wasn't going to take a qualifying offer, which is why I'm not surprised that he's a free agent now. Yeah. But I hope Brodie's able to keep the conversation open with him.
What do you think is a reasonable contract for him?
$20 million, 4 years. $20 million each year.
So $80 million.
So $80 million over 4 years.
What would you give him?
As much as I possibly could to get him.
Well, with the Wilpons, it's probably like
I wouldn't break the bank.
$1.50.
I mean, I wouldn't break the bank, but just something reasonable enough to entice him to move.
I mean, I'd rather take Bumgarner. Bumgarner over Wheeler.
How old's Wheeler?
29.
And Bumgarner?
I mean, they were saying that whoever gets Wheeler is going to get a fairly inconsistent person. He's never been the model of consistency, whereas Bumgarner has. So I have to agree with you there.
I mean, obviously the top two candidates are going to be Garrett Cole and Strasburg. I have a feeling Strasburg is going to go back to Washington. Yeah. Maybe he's just testing out the market to see what he's worth.
Yeah. Well, he can't take a qualifying offer after what he did in the playoffs.